Hey, how are you guys? It is Harrison Barron from Growth Generators. Now, in this video, I want to talk to you guys about how much you should be charging for an MSP service. Now, there is a ton of different varieties and variables that are going to drastically impact how much you're charging. And upon doing some research online, I have found hundreds of blog posts on how much you should actually be charging. Now, I'm a veteran of the industry. I've been in the industry now for going on about 9 or 10 years, and I work regularly with MSPs and help them not only with their digital marketing, but also their pricing, their structure, and how they're going to offer these services. So I've seen the gamut. Now, when I first started, the company that I was working with was charging on average about $35 a seat for unlimited support. That is horrible. Now, on the internet, if you go and Google it, you're going to find anything between $51 up to about $250 plus per seat. And I want to share with you guys how you can justify that cost and what you realistically should be charging. Now, where you live is going to depend on how much you can actually charge. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, nothing against you, but you're going to have to charge a little bit less. There's just less money out there. But if you're in an urban environment near a city like Charlotte, New York, maybe even San Diego, you're going to have a lot more people that are willing to pay more money for good service. So let's talk about what's actually included before we get into the nitty-gritty and the money of how much you should be charging. First is what's actually going to be included. A lot of companies say that they do 24/7 support, which in the case may be true, but for the large majority of them, that's not going to be the case. A lot of companies will do either a 9 to 5, a 9 to 6, an 8 to 3, sometimes a 6 to 6, where they're doing half or a quarter of the day, of the workday, for somebody to be able to call in and say, hey, I need support. On top of that, after that happens, usually there's one or two technicians assigned overnight for smaller companies to handle any other issues or responsibilities that need to be taken care of. Then again, we are in the IT industry, which we all know doesn't sleep. So what's the difference? What are the variables? Typically, when you have somebody sitting down in front of a computer, they are going to cost a decent amount of money. Most employees cost anywhere between 15 on the very, very low side, level 1 tech support, up to about $45 to $50 an hour, depending on their level of education and what tier of support they are. Tier 3 support, you're probably paying close to that number, so that way any customer that has an issue can get that resolved with a level 3 technician. But what about the other variables in between? Things like patching, project work, network monitoring are all part of your package. What should be and shouldn't be included? Well, I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. I am going to tell you and give you some examples of companies that I have worked with in the past. I have seen a $250 all-you-can-eat deal. Now, that's $250 per unit, meaning a computer, or per person, whatever is less. And I say that because there are times where multiple people use one computer, so it's really you're only working on one computer, and there are times where there is one person who has 3 or 4 company devices, and in that case, there's usually a bit of a flex spend in there where you're not charging $1,000 for one employee to have 4 devices on the network. So you have to think about what is realistic, but that $250 encompasses everything. That is including endpoint monitoring, a SOC team, any project work that needs to get done. The company or the person buying the services will be responsible for paying for hardware, but any additional work that needs to be done, programming, setting up domain, anything that is involved in that area, even setting up a network closet, is included in that $250 price. Meaning no matter what happens, no matter how severe that issue is, it's $250 per user or per computer, whatever's less, and they charge that across the board. Now, the reason why this is nice is because there's really no extra bills that company has to pay, and 2, there's never any labor. There's never any question of whether or not labor is included. The only thing additional that the customer is paying for are materials. No more time. Time is completely covered in this build. Now, on the flip side of things, all the way on the cheapest side, I have seen, because I came from it, was $35 per seat. Now, I will tell you that this is it's impossible to grow a company and build a profitable business at $35 per seat, because we just went over how much you're paying that person per hour. Now, yes, the law of scalability does work in this scenario, but you still need to keep hiring and hiring and hiring based on how many clients you have and how many teams and technicians you need in order to go execute on those areas. I would say a good starting spot for a brand new MSP to roll out things like ConnectWise, endpoint, anything else that might be necessary to just get them into being a customer. Even some basic monitoring, usually covered by ConnectWise or Automate, should be between $50 and $75 per month. That's a basic minimum. The reason why I'm telling you this is because you can charge a little bit less than your competitors as you're first starting out, and it's going to give you a little bit of wiggle room to add some profitability in there. Now, my personal recommendation, that is on the lowest end, is realistically between $75 and $100 per month. What does that actually look like? That's going to cover your endpoint antivirus. That's going to cover at least a 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 8 to 6, some kind of combination of those numbers as far as people sitting in a chair when you're first starting. If you're not sure, you're just starting out, try to just stretch yourself too thin and hire as soon as you can to get somebody who can address those issues, at least for level 1, and you could build it into your contract for level 2 and level 3 will be handled on these certain areas, which you, the business owner, are probably going to be handling. What else should be included? Network monitoring right off the bat, super, super important, depending on what you're using, if it's a Meraki or any other Wi-Fi or network monitoring devices or network devices, you should be able to build that in, or at least some level of automation to let you know, hey, monitor's down, we need to go fix those areas. That is the core function of what you should be offering. Anything additional to that should either factor into that monthly price or project pricing, and that is totally up to your discretion. A good number that I've seen a lot of companies be able to grow successfully and build and train employees, build out appropriate platforms for them to be able to be trained, offer 401k. Really, the level where you become a real business is somewhere between the $125 and $200 per month seat. Now, why is it like that as opposed to the $50 to $75 that I just recently mentioned? You're going to get higher quality and higher tier employees. Typically, the less you pay an employee, the lower quality person you're going to get. Not always the case, but that's a general good rule of thumb. The other thing is, happy employees get paid fairly well. They feel like they're challenged at their job. They feel like they are providing a serious service to a client. When a client pays you $200 or $150 or $100 per month, they expect a quality level of service. At $50, that's a little bit more than $1 or $2 per day, but getting into that 100 plus territory, you're talking about multiple dollars per day to make sure an employee is working appropriately. Now, I'm going to go on to how to actually go sell MSP services in my next video, but I wanted to just talk about some other areas that you can charge a premium for if you have the staff on hand to go do it. SOC, a security team in place that can go handle major issues. If you're dealing with clients that desperately need this kind of advantage, this is a home run and should not be slept on. It usually consists of one or a couple people that can go out, and that is their only job, is to fix and manage massive security issues. That could be rolling out patches, that could be dealing with a potential breach, that could be dealing with data security, whatever it may be for your business. Adding a SOC team will, one, help you increase the overall cost or price that you can charge, and two, gives customers a lot of peace of mind knowing that there is somebody that if something goes massively wrong as far as security goes, because we're all involved in security, they can call and it's going to get dealt with right away. Some other areas that I think are worth mentioning that you can charge more per month for is a VCISO, a virtual chief information security officer. This is going to be somebody outside of your organization that you're hiring through your MSP or through the MSP, that their only job is to go through, figure out what's expiring, whether it's warranties, maybe it's registrations, maybe it's licenses, and making sure that not only are they being proactive in mentioning, hey, this is what we're going to need to allocate for future growth next year, but also saying, hey, we have some systems going out of date. We have a potential new solution for you that we've been researching. It might be worth rolling it out. Let's look at the pros and cons. They're really acting like an outsourced virtual chief information security officer, where they're just consistently going out to make sure that not only do you have the best of the best, but also you're getting and maintaining a level of security that's going to impact not only the customer that's buying the services, but you as the business owner, knowing that, hey, if something goes wrong, we actually have it in the budget to go fix these issues. This was a serious, serious problem that I saw when I was working in the space, which is a lot of companies didn't have the budget with their clients to be able to afford and hire these kinds of people inside. There's also areas to upsell on maybe it's $5, $10, 25, 50, whatever numbers that you feel is appropriate, but you could use ActiveTrack to monitor employee productivity, both in and outside of the office. You can use programs that are going to see who's inside the office. You have RFID scanning badges, which is access control. The list kind of goes on and what you want to add, but as far as a core group of offerings, you could use Auvik for monitoring your infrastructure. The list goes on, and you could build all of those reoccurring costs that you have to deal with as an MSP into the total price. And it's going to give your salesperson the ammunition to be able to go in and say, not only are you getting 24/7 security, you're getting a vCISO, you're getting monitoring, you're getting endpoint, you're getting all of these additional benefits that go through to be able to show that you guys not only know what you're doing, but you're prepared to take care of any situation that might come up, including potentially even redundancy. Backing up a server, whether it's on-site or off-site, is something that you can bill for and include it into that overall price. Now, before I wrap up this video, I want to share with you that two things that I've learned. One, a la carte can be very dangerous. Once you get somebody on 24/7 Helpdesk or your MSP monitoring, which is hopefully 24/7 or at least somebody in a hot seat for a handful of hours a day, outside of that, think of other ways that you could provide value to that customer. There are so many ways out there, including this video, but you have to be careful. Do not do a la carte services until that they have at least one of your premium services, because customers like to cherry pick and say, I don't want this, I don't want this. And you as an MSP are going to run into some serious problems when you don't have a budget to go take care of issues that the customer is having. Get them on some kind of reoccurring contract, whether that's managed services or maybe it's just backup and you want to say, hey, this is how we're going to handle your backup, and building in enough beef in there that if they do have an issue, you can send somebody on site to restore from a backup. Whatever it may be, you have to think about that. Personally, I am a bundler. I don't like doing a la carte services at all. Bundle everything, give me one price, and it allows the MSP to just execute as they see fit, assuming you have customers' permission to do so, with just about anything. Hey, we want to set up 5 new computers. They're about $5,000 altogether. It's going to be completely covered in your contract. All you have to do is just pay for the hardware. Perfect. Customers love that. Everything's going to be set up the way they want. It's going to be dropped off, installed, everything to the nines, which is not only making for a better customer experience, but making your job as a business owner and MSP owner a million times easier. And that's going to be the difference between somebody struggling to get their feet underneath them versus somebody that is consistently acquiring new customers. If you have the means to sell it, go for it. Build in your own package. Sometimes companies like to have a little more beef with a $250. I've even heard of $300 per seat, which is crazy. But if a customer is willing to pay that, everything should be included other than hardware, no matter what. Once again, it depends on your business. But if you're just starting out, that $50 to $75 per month is a solid sweet spot to get your feet wet, to start building that team, to start making some reoccurring revenue. Think about it. You get a 10-person company at $50 a seat. That's $500 a month. That's not a little bit of money, but it's enough money to start saying, hey, you know what? If I get 2 or 3 or 4 of these, I can realistically have somebody full-time in a chair and they could be the backbone and help me grow my business. So this is things that you have to think about as an MSP owner. I hope this video helps. This is purely from my experience. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how to make more money with your MSP, getting creative, and thinking about different ways that you can roll out different softwares that's going to increase that reoccurring number a little bit more. My name is Harrison Barron from Growth Generators. Thanks so much for checking out this video. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.